A big caveat before we even jump into the video. I'm not a fast painter. I'm not a good speed painter. So if you're looking for speed over quality, not that those things are exclusives from each other, this might not be the video for you. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you watching. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the dungeon on this wonderful, cold, snowy Ohio day. It's probably the same temperature in this dungeon as it is outside. That's okay. Today I'm going to be painting some Trench Crusade models. I'll be showing kind of how I paint them, how I get them to a good, clean presentation, and then how I dirty them up. I Trench Crusade them. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, you don't need to take as many steps as I do. Let me say that first and foremost. I made this way too long. This probably took me, granted, I don't paint every single day. And sometimes I paint for 30 minutes a day. Sometimes I paint for 3 hours a day. But it probably took me 9 days to get these done, which is not a good ratio. But I'm happy with the outcome. I'll kind of show you one here. Well, you can't see them very good. I'll pop up some pictures, but that's kind of the outcome. But I get them to a nice, clean presentation. No dirt, no grime, no nothing. I use an N&M, non-metallic metal, and then I start dirtying them up with washes, inks, pigments, stuff like that. Trench Crusade them. All right, let's hop into it. Please give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with the green. Dark camo green. We're going to get everything on here except the cape as far as clothing goes. The tunic, this guy's hat, the cape, his pants, all that type of stuff. And then we're just going to slowly build up the green here. I'm going to go to a dark yellow green. Same thing. I'm just going to cover a little bit less area. Then this next step, I'm going to start mixing in yellow. Each step, I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow until I get to a pure yellow, which then I will switch techniques and I'll go to more of like a stippling, making some small dots. You'll see that here in a few. And by a few, I mean right now. See, I'm just trying to make some small dots along the raised areas. Just trying to add in some texture to these. Make it look like cloth. That's the whole point here. Kind of jump forward here. You can see the stippling I did along the center of his tunic there. Just adding in some depth to it. Here I'm hitting the pant leg with that yellow. This is just pure yellow at this point. And then here you can see kind of where we're at once the green is done at this point. Now I'm going to start on the cape, starting with the dark red. I'm just going to hit the dark areas here. I'm not going to go over everything, just the dark areas. I'm going to leave the light areas that white and gray color. So once I get that done, this is kind of where we're at. And then from here, I will just start putting on some of that bold pyro red. And I'm going to hit everything that is still primer. If I go over that dark a little bit, it's okay. I'm going to have to blend it in anyway, so not a big deal. Then I'm going to mix in a little bit of this orange color into that red, and I'm going to start layering it up. And then I'll add in a little bit more, and then what I'll start doing is doing some stripes, a little bit of striation on it. Again, just building up texture, trying to make it look like a cape. So I'm going to start mixing in some of that yellow. And then here's where I'm going to start adding in some lines. Just like that. I'm not trying to be perfect here. I'm not going for any awards, so these lines could definitely be a little bit thinner, but that's okay. It's going to give us the same effect. You can see here I'm going over dark areas too. That's going to help blend it all in. And you can kind of see where we're at after that. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but working from dark to the light areas. So I'm going to take that dark scarlet red, and I'm going to make stripes from the dark areas to the light areas. Again, just trying to blend it all in a little bit, add in some texture. It's okay if you got some overlap, not a big deal. And honestly, right here, you could stop if you wanted to. There's no reason to keep going. I have a habit of overpainting, especially for someone who doesn't do competitions. And then here, what you can kind of see is I'm taking just some of that bright red, and I'm doing the same thing kind of in the in-between areas, making some stripes, just trying to really blend it all in together again. A little too bright up there on the top, but no big deal. And then here you can kind of see where we're at after all that. And then we are going to use some inks, a red ink and a sepia ink. And we're going to go over the whole thing. This will help to bring it all together a little bit. Bring in some of that dark stippling I did off camera. I just added in a little bit of purple. Now we're going to start the metal using some coal black and dark jade as our starting color here. We're going to get all the metal bits, armor, weapons, all that. Then I'm just going to use some pure dark jade and get a little bit less of the areas. And I'm just going to keep building up the highlights on this. I'm going to start mixing in some of this aqua blue and slowly bling up the highlights with it, eventually till I'm at a pure aqua blue. So for these, I'm just kind of stippling, really just moving the brush around. I'm not doing any type of particular pattern here. If I have streaks, I got streaks. If I got dots, I got dots. I mean, I want this armor, these weapons to look disgusting and worn. This metal is not kept up, and I think this is a great way to do that. I also go over the areas I've already done several times just to kind of build up those highlights. You can kind of see it here. And then don't worry about this being a little bit too blue. It'll come down. And then you can see here I'm just going in with some straight aqua blue, hitting less of the areas, trying to get a little bit of highlights, adding in some streaks. You see there, I did a little bit of kind of like a dry brushing action. Not looking for it to be perfect. All right. This is a quick, easy way to make some non-metallic metal that reads as metal that doesn't take forever. And I think when you paint this way, it makes it easier to understand non-metallic metal also. And to make it easier for you to paint. For when you want to, do a competition model or something like that. Now I'm just going to start the leather bits. Just starting with a dark mahogany brown here. I'm going to hit all the leather bits, all the brown bits, and then everything I'm going to do is non-metallic gold. So this is going to be his straps, boots, obviously, gas mask, gold trim, all that type of stuff. Fur on that guy. And then I'm just going to get the skin base coated. So I'm using some purple and some of these skin tones. You'll get to kind of see me kind of blending this on the model here when it stays in focus, of course. And I will mix in some of that blue too for the shadows. I think that kind of ties the model together also. And I'll do some more off-camera stuff just because it's kind of, as you can see, hard for me to film this. But this guy has the most skin, so I figured I'd do my best to show it on here. Just kind of blending it down and then slowly adding in highlights here. Trying not to make muscle islands. Thank you to Vince Ventrolo for that. But yeah. And then there we got the skin for that guy. And then this guy's skin. He came out all right. Arm could have been a little bit better, but I'm not worried about it. All right, now we're going to start highlighting up the leather bits. Just using some ochres and stuff like that. Just adding some stippling on the side of his gas mask, but the main light I want to be on the top of that gas mask. Here I'm just going to hit the raised ridges on all of the leather pouches, leather straps, his gaiters on his boots, all that type of stuff. And I'm just stepping up the color here. Just going to a more cream color. Getting a little bit less areas on the leather. That's all. Nothing too crazy. Just hitting less of the areas, trying to bring up those highlights for when I go over it with a wash. You can really see it here on the gaiters. Helps bring that light to the front. And then on the actual boots, I really didn't do anything. I just put some lines on there, did some stippling, nothing too crazy. Now I'm going to start the non-metallic gold. I'm going to start with like that beastie brown. They got a skeleton on their belt buckle. Belt buckle I just did is gold. Then I'm just going to start hitting all these little buttons, all this little trim. This model and the one with the hood. I loved these sculpts because the trim was awesome. This guy had a lot of intricate trim on the weapon, which I was worried about painting. Sorry it's a little off camera here, but you can still get the drift. But I was worried about painting this trim, but it actually wasn't too bad, and I'm happy with the outcome. It came out okay. And then I'm just going to start mixing in some oranges and some yellows and just slowly building that up. So now I'm just going in with a pure bright yellow, trying to add some that gold effect. And I think that's pretty good. I think that's reading as gold. I'm happy with that outcome. And then here's the magic step. I'm going to take some of this fluorescent golden paint I got and just get the highest highlights with these. Just to really help sell that effect. You guys might not even be able to notice it, although you did notice my big ass head there in frame. But yeah, that definitely did help sell it. Here you can kind of see the gold all done on this guy, and then we'll kind of show some of the other ones. Here it is on him on the weapon. I'm very happy with how this trim turned out on the weapon. For how intricate it is, that's about as good as I could hope for.
Now, you guys could stop here. This is fine. These look great. I wanted to experiment with getting these guys dirty. That's the whole point of Trench Crusade. They're grimy, they're nasty. It's been going on for 1,000 years. The Crusades never stopped, okay? It's supposed to be dirty. We're going to lose a little bit of color when we do some of these steps. That's okay. By doing this, it's going to give us even more depth. It's going to create a story. These people have been living in war their entire life. That's the story I'm trying to tell with my models. You could stop here if you want, and your models would look amazing.
All right, and now we're just going to add a wash. This is, we're going to focus on the cape for this guy and some of the other bits with this dark wash. And then I'm just going to be using some inks for the leather bits and for the weapon. And I will use some green ink for the tunics and whatnot. You don't have to do this. You could use just one simple wash or no wash at all. This is not a required step, and you don't have to be this diverse. This is just, again, the way I paint. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. Like I said, you don't have to use this. Another thing I'll do is if I get on too heavy with these inks, I'll wipe the brush off real quick, lick it off, and I'll take it over those areas just to pull a little bit of that ink off and bring back some of the color.
If you guys are liking the video, give me a like, a share, and a subscribe. Thank you.
And then with this green wash, you're going to hit some of these other bits. It's not a big deal. This is a pretty thin wash. Just wanted to tie all that green together. Did have a little bit of mid areas that needed tied in with the high highlights. And then here with this ink, I'm just going to hit the weapons. So this is my wood ink from AK Interactive. I always use this for weapons. Then I'm just going to start working on some weathering. So this Beastie Brown, same thing when I did with the non-metallic metal. I'm going to put this on kind of random. If it stipples, it stipples. If it streaks, it streaks. Then I'm going to hit less of those areas with some of this orange. Again, just trying to make it look a little bit more like rust. Not trying to be perfect. If I take up the whole brown area, I take up the whole brown area. Not a big deal. getting the weapon and everything. I'll even get some on the pipes and whatnot. Then with the Aguar Blue, I am going to go in and just do some fine streaking. I did some streaking with a black ink that I didn't film. I apologize. But this will just add a little bit more to it. Put it underneath some of those cuts and whatnot. And then now I'm going to really start getting these guys dirty and nasty with some pigments. I'm going to start with my lightest pigment, work from the highest area, and then I will work less and less area on the subsequent pigments. So I started with this orange color. Now I'm going to do kind of a red, hitting less areas. And then with this black, I'm going to hit less areas. And then here is the final product. And I will throw up some pictures here, as the pictures tell a better story than this video, unfortunately. But here's the end product. I'm happy with this. I could have done a little bit of gloss varnish on the bottoms of these models to make it look like they're walking through mud, and that would have added some more to it, I think. But I am fairly happy with these. Not fairly, I am happy with these. I got the non-metallic metal to show through while also showing these as dirty and grimy. So I'm happy with that. I make them look rusted and nasty.
All right, guys, that's the end of the video. I'm happy with the outcome. Haven't done any weathering like this since I painted some like World War II tanks. So I'm happy with this. This is the cool thing about Trench Crusade. I can take my time and get a full force done. Pretty much. I'm sure the game's going to expand and we're going to have tanks and stuff. And then I'll never have a full force because I'm terrible at painting armies. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So, or where I'm at, I should say. Not good at painting armies, excuse me. But I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a like, a share, and subscribe.